Hello, Internet friends. I'm Ryan, and this is Demos in the Dark. And tonight we are looking at something new from Silktone Amps, except this is a pedal and it has a trick. And you're going to want to see that trick. This right here is the Silktone Fuzz. The Silktone Fuzz is based on the Germanium Fuzz Face, but it has this really cool trick to it. Right here, we have a bias meter with a bias control. What this means and how this is different than a self-biasing fuzz pedal is that you get to decide what the bias is and change it for your environment. So let's say you didn't like the sweet spot, which is usually around 4.5 volts. Let's say you like a really thick, fat fuzz, about 6.5 volts. And you could play a gig in the freezing cold of Minnesota, where I live, turn it, hit that 6.5 volts, and then you could go to your next gig, which would be in Honolulu, and it's 98 degrees outside, and you change that again, find your 6.5 volts and get the fuzz sound that you like. So I'm going to take this here. I'm going to run it down on a mix. I'm going to run it on multiple guitar tracks. I'm going to run it on keys, and I'm going to run it on bass. And then come on back here, and I will show you some more tricks with this pedal here. Let's take a deeper dive into the Silktone Fuzz. Start out with the controls. Up top, we have a volume control. It's the overall output volume of the pedal. We have a fuzz control, and that controls the amount of transistor gain. And if you are a fan of fuzz faces, you know you just leave it on full all the time. That's where it belongs. And then we have this cleanup control, which is very cool. And it decreases the input gain, and it's very similar to rolling off the volume on your guitar. And when I'm playing fuzz faces, I'm typically running my guitar between 7 and 9. I rarely go all the way up to 10. So this is useful. I can just set it to kind of what that is, and I don't really even have to worry about this stuff. Then we have the classic versus raw toggle, and that changes the bias ratio. And essentially, the raw setting is going to let a lot more low end in than the classic setting will. And if you like real big, thick, fuzzy sounds, then you're going to want to run in that raw mode. If you like the classic Fuzz Faces sound, you're going to want to go up to classic. And then we have the thing that makes this pedal unique and special. We have a bias control and a bias meter. So I just got to a gig and I plugged this thing in and it says 5.5. And that is not where I like to sit. So I'm just going to go, you know what? I am a 4.5 kind of guy. And set it there. Gonna go on with my gig. Let's say you are like, you know what? I love Fuzz Face, but I really want it to be splatty and Velcro-y and gated. Go there. Use that. And then when you get to your gig, make sure you set it back to there. Or if you like a big, thick fuzz, go up to 6.5 and leave it there. And then when you get to your next place, set it to 6.5. It's that simple. So let's go through what these things actually sound like and what these different bias points sound like. And here we go. I am running a Scythe Guitars OH19 into a Silktone Amps Silktone amp. And that is going to sound like this. I think we should start with the sweet spot, which is the 4.5 range. This should be a familiar sound. Sorry, I actually had to stop there because that right there on the cleanup, that's my spot. Yeah, that's it right there. Let's clean it up some more, see what happens. All right, so next we're going to drop the bias down real low, kind of in the 1 volt range, a little above 1 volt, and that's going to give us a really nice gated fuzz. We're going to go up just a little bit from there and get to a more vintage sounding kind of fuzz that I happen to really like. So we are going to go past the sweet spot, which is about 4.5, and we are going to hit some really, really thick fuzz with about a 6.5. We can go up from there. I don't really know what happens. So let's call it 8. So this last setting is one that Charles asked me to try out, and I don't know how it's going to sound. And he suggested grabbing a humbucking Les Paul style guitar. I'm going to go with this Yamaha Revstar. And he said to roll the tone off all the way. And go full on fuzz. So there you have, that's just a brief look at the Silktone Fuzz. This is the solution for those of you who know what you want your fuzz to sound like and want it to sound consistent in every single situation that you are in. It sounds great. It looks cool. Charles is a genius. So Charles, thanks for sending this over for me to check out, and thank you to you for your time.